Hey, how much more could your SRE team do if you could buy them back almost 2 weeks worth of time into their schedules every month? Today, we're going to show you how you can do that using AI agents. Hey, my name is Bruno. I'm one of the co-founders here at Raia. And one of the activities that I spend most of my time on a daily basis is talking to SRE teams across many organizations. And if I use a mid-sized organization as a base, one of the things that was clear to me is that an SRE engineer spends between 3 to 4 hours every day triaging through alerts, logs, and piecing data together before any fix or change can actually be made. At the end of the month, that's about almost 90 hours of time wasted on that activity that could be used elsewhere. And today, I want to show you how some of our users are actually using Raia AI agents to help them scale the SRE function by removing the toil and doing all of the grunt work for them and enabling them to focus only on alerts that are really critical and worth to take a look at. Let's check how they do that today with Raia. All right, just so we have a background and a context here, from a stack perspective, we have our infrastructure hosted on AWS. And I'm using ECS service as part of the example. You can expand that later to include RDS and other AWS services or Google Cloud and so on. For my observability stack, I have a simple account that I created on Datadog. So Datadog is connected to that AWS account and it's monitoring my infrastructure there. So you can see some of the pre-created monitors that comes together with Datadog around CPU usage, disk latency, RDS anomaly, and so on. My code is actually hosted on GitHub. And those monitors, what I did is they are actually creating an alert towards a Raia agent. So every time a new alert comes through, this will basically trigger an agentic workflow on Raia to investigate for me and know what's actually a problem worth looking at it or not. Let's go to the Raia dashboard. All right, this is Raia's dashboard. If you go to connectors, this is where you connect Raia AI agents to your underlying infrastructure. Raia today has two types of connectors. One is what we call a native connector. So it's basically Raia working directly with the underlying infrastructure, such as Jira, Okta, and AWS. And the second one is MCP servers. So to illustrate the example today that we have, I have AWS connected here. I also have GitHub connected, and I have CloudWatch connected through an MCP provided by AWS. What I created here for this example to mimic what I see users doing today, if we go to Automate and we open the Cloud Operations agent, I have an agentic workflow called Host Investigation, DD, Datadog. What happened is this agentic workflow is available through a webhook. So if you recall back the list of monitors that we had within Datadog, when there is an alert, it basically, instead of triggering our engineers on Slack or creating a PagerDuty issue or so on, and basically creating noise, what it does instead is trigger this agentic workflows. And what it does is our Datadog agent reaches out to Datadog, get the details of any alerts that were created in the last 2 minutes. And remember that you can highly customize this to get the right level of alerts from Datadog and so on. This is just an example. It goes to Datadog and get the alerts that were created in the last 2 minutes. After getting this information, we use the MCP for CloudWatch and reach out to CloudWatch, and we get the logs for the last 15 minutes for our ECS cluster in this region and identify any potential issues, if any. At the same time, I have an AWS agent that is going to check my ECS clusters to make sure that they are healthy, right? And they're running, and the services within that are running. So now I have details from Datadog that are coming in from the alerts. I'm getting the logs directly from CloudWatch to identify if there are any troubled logs or any error logs related to my ECS clusters and services. I'm getting the status of my clusters and my services directly from AWS ECS. And Raia is now performing an issue classification. It's analyzing the output from these agents, and this new agent is basically identifying, based on that, if there are any urgent issues that need to be done, dealt with. And if he has, what it does is it checks on GitHub. I have two repositories in there, a backend API repository, and I have a web. And it changes for any code that was actually merged in the last hour. Again, you can customize this, different repositories, different PRs, different branches, timeline, and so on. But in our case, it's basically reaching out to GitHub and checking if there are any changes that can actually be related to the problems that we're having now. And what it does is that agent, those GitHub agents, they basically pass the information back to the Raia agent orchestrator and gives it context on, hey, these issues that are happening in the cluster, the services, and these were the changes that were made in GitHub, for example, that could be potentially affecting that. And because there is an urgent issue that Raia identified, there is an urgent issue, Raia goes ahead and creates a ticket, a Jira ticket, and assigns it to Bruno as a bug, and basically gives Bruno a context on, hey, Bruno, there is indeed an urgent issue. This are the services that are being affected, or this is the cluster that is being affected. This is potentially the GitHub change that introduced the issue, and this is how to fix it. And it sends also Bruno, in this example, a message saying, hey, Bruno, there is an urgent issue happening. Here's the analysis of the services and clusters that could be impacted. And here's the analysis of code changes that could be related to that issue with your cluster or services. And here's the Jira ticket open for that. If you look at the agent details table, you can see in the example here, getting the issues. You can see checking the agents checking the health of the clusters, and then identify if there are potential issues or urgent issues or not. And because there is none in this time, it basically skips the rest. Just by doing that, our users have drastically reduced the noise that they get from alerts coming from Datadog, Sentry, and other observability tools. And now they are focusing just on issues that are actually urgent and require attention from them. Freeing them up, I'll create other videos expanding more on that, but I hope this was helpful. And one of the things that I can do, I can also export this workflow, send it to you if you want to connect that to your Datadog and AWS and give it a try. Just comment on the message, let me know. Thank you.